And let's look at the other direction, a percent decrease. And I like those a lot because what that means to me is that something's on sale and I'm going to get a good deal. And I love to get a good deal when I shop. So calculate the discount for these purchases and look for mental methods that might work. And one of the reasons I like you to do that is because it's so much quicker in the store if you can think about the price of the item, round it to something nearby, and then figure out what the sales price would be based on the percent discount that they're offering. Okay, so here's a clothing bill. I'll show you one and then I'll let you try one and show you the answers after. So the clothing bill is $19.99. I hope in your mind you're going, yeah, whatever, it's $20. So we'll convert that to something nearby, which is $20. And if we have a 10% off sale, that means we're taking 10% of $20. So we're just moving our decimal one place to the left, or multiply by 10% on your calculator, or multiply by 0.1 on your calculator. Either way, you should end up with a $2 discount. And that would make my bill $20 minus the $2. Now we're subtracting because we're getting a better deal. So it would be $20 minus $2, which will give us $18 for our total bill. If we're doing 40% off, I can take the 10% amount, which I always do when I'm in the store. I take $2 times 4 of them so that I can get to 40% off, and that will be $8 off. And $8 off will be 20 minus 8, or a total bill of $12. 70% off, it's the same deal. Find the 10% value first, which we already did. 10% off is $2. I'm doing 70% off. That's 7 times more than the 10% off. So I multiply by 7. So that's going to be $14. A $14 discount from a $20 item is going to be 20 minus 14, which will give me a $6 item. So I love 70% off. 25% off, that one I like to think as a fourth of the cost of the item, because you have 4 25s in 100, or 100% of the value. So if I want a fourth of one of those items, it's going to be a fourth of 20. So I can divide 20 by 4, and that's going to be a $5 discount, and 20 minus 5 again, and that's going to be $15 final price. Now, I want you to know that if you didn't come up with the same ways I did to do the discounts, that's okay. There are a lot of different ways to do it. And you can also think, if you know that it's 10% off, you can think, well, that's 90% on. 40% off is 60% on. 70% off, and this is where it actually helps you, that's going to be 30% on. And when you do 30% on, you can just think 3 times the amount of the discount, which is 3 times 2, which would give you the 6. And that's a very quick way to come up with your final price. So it doesn't give you the amount of the discount, it just will help you find the final price really quick. So for methods, let's see what I can write. So for the amount of the discount, what I wrote down is find the 10% amount, multiply by how many 10% you need. So in this case, I found the 10% amount, and that's all I needed. Here, I needed 4 of the 10% amounts, so I multiplied 4 times the $2, which was the 10% amount. 70% off, I needed 7 of the 10% amount, so multiplied those. And then this one, I just knew 25%. That's 1/4. That's 1/4 of a whole, so I multiplied 1/4 times the whole bill. Go ahead and try the $24.99 and see what you can do with that.